Introduced to her today. It's my first time to see her. Wow, bona chippy. Chippy, yadi chippy. Babes, greetings, my love.
Greetings, Arsenal Lady, and greetings to everyone who's joined. And thank you for having me.
I'm just trying to check. Yeah, she is. Hey, she is. People who come here, they are born modern, beautiful.
Thank you.
You know what? In the meantime, while I'm waiting for Khaisang, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Like I said, thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Thabisile Sitaba. I am a co-founder and a COO of a company called Sendoff. So I'll speak a bit about Sendoff so you understand how I got to become Patient Death Care. So when we looked at end of life and death care, we saw that there was no central platform to help you arrange funerals. And I think you did allude to this earlier on to say that everybody runs around not knowing what to touch in assisting towards the planning of the funeral. So we created a tech platform where we have all the service providers within the death care value chain, from funeral covers, from life covers, from the funeral home. So you can literally get onto the app, select a funeral home, select a package, and we project manage that process together with your family. So how does this look like as a customer? You come in and say, "I'm Arsenal Lady. I have 40,000 rand for a funeral. Which packages are available to me?" And we give you those packages. We connect you to that funeral home, and we help you throughout. And as you've mentioned, the funeral home's duty is to assist you in finalizing the logistics, but there's no support to you as a customer in terms of your emotional and mental well-being. So we also assist in that.
Now, Tavi, let me ask you. I heard you saying something there. You said Naledi comes in and I say I have 40,000. Is the 40,000 once off?
At need, so to explain, so at need, let's say right now you lose your loved one in the other room, and they had a funeral cover, or you have 40,000 rand, and that is your budget to arrange for that funeral. So you come to us and you say, "This is the amount that I have. Can you please assist me in finding the right packages to give my loved one that dignified send off?"
Okay. Okay. Hold on, get babes. We usually start with a prayer in this house. Because everything that I do, it's not according to me, but it is according to the will of God. Khaisang, can you please do that prayer? And then me and Sister B, we can continue.
Greetings. You can just go straight to prayer. Heavenly Father, grant us the mind of serenity to accept the things that we cannot be changed. Give us the courage to change that can be changed, and wisdom to know the other ones from the other through Jesus Christ. Grant us the serenity to accept the things that we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. As one lives day at a time, enjoying one moment at a time, accepting hardships as the pathway of the sinful world. But we pray that you give us the peace, trusting that you will make things right as we surrender to your will. In Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Khaisang. One of my daughters there. Una le bostaboninyana, but o ska wara ke tlo mo lokisa. And amen. So, babes, we're gonna do this, guest Sam. I remember when I invited you, very smart of you. You said to me, Ausna lady, do I have a scope? Is there something that I'm supposed to follow? Which questions are you going to throw? Sister Bisile, I want you to come in here and let's start about the wrong things that we are doing as a society. And then let's get into how we can rectify those things. So that 40,000, Sister B, is it paid in cash or over a period of time?
So as I said, it would be paid in cash because remember you've lost a loved one and you're arranging that funeral. It's that week of arranging that funeral.
Oh, okay. Ngiyakuchola manje. There is a
Yes.
person who has a khona umuntu that they can do it kancane kancane, but there is someone who can be like Ausna lady and walk in and say A, B, C, and D has happened. So it's gonna go chunka as a big.
Yes, yes, yes. That's exactly. So at need, you would have that cash amount. So the 40,000 was an example to say that would be your budget to carry out that funeral. But pre-need would be you saying, I'm looking for a funeral cover. How do I get the
Oh,
best funeral cover for my needs?
okay. So masicale ke Sister Bill, what is your advice?
So and I like the the statement that you said in terms of what are we doing wrong.
Yeah.
I think the very first thing aligns to apologies. I think it's Hoitzimang, or please tell me if I'm saying her name correctly, the one who opened with prayer.
Khaisang.
Kaisang, when she said, God, give us the ability to accept the things we cannot change. And if I'm saying it correctly, and the serenity to know the difference between the two. Now,
Correct.
one thing that we need to understand that we cannot change is death, right? One thing where we need to start changing our languaging, and you hear this quite a lot when people speak about their death wishes, they say things like, if I die, death is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. That is the part that we need to understand first. And then number two, when we go looking for,
I like that part, Sister Bill. The way you said is when I die, is not if. Beautiful. Beautiful indeed.
yes, absolutely. And so that's the first thing. The languaging has to change, right? And number two, and I think you spoke about this before we started the session, a lot of our people and my people, as you can see my color, don't understand grief or what grief is, right? And you did say that you'd find that a wife has lost their husband, but there's no support in between. It's like when there's the funeral, people go through different stages of grief, and one that seems to be quite dominant is the blame.
Yeah.
So one thing we also need to understand is that there are certain conversations which may be correct, but the timing is not right. That is
Okay.
why there is a lot of abuse towards widows, towards families. And then the third thing is buying financial products without understanding, without proper consultation. And you see this quite a lot because someone would go and buy a funeral cover for 10,000 Rand. And I can tell you today, Asna lady, there is no funeral you can do for 10,000 Rand today.
Hey.
There is no
So
funeral
so
service.
10,000 yin, it's not even the starting phase.
It's not even the starting phase. You can literally buy a grave because you also need to remember some funeral homes, they do offer burial covers, but you also need to check. They don't provide they don't pay for the grave, right? So you still need to pay for the grave. And that idea of not paying for the grave comes from the fact that in the different municipalities there are different rates. So it's not easy to cover that grave number. So, for example, here in Gauteng, there's a cemetery in Johannesburg, and it's about 4.7, right? So if I say to you a grave, only a grave,
Imakancane sisi, 4,700.
yes, and that is public cemetery, by the way. I haven't even touched on private cemetery. So, public cemetery, you can pay 4.5. It's anything from 2,700 going up. Public cemetery. So if you've got 10,000, you already see if you have to pay for that cemetery, you are left with 6,000 Rand. How much is a coffin? You will not get a coffin for less than 6,000 Rand. I don't even want to touch on catering because we know how a lot of people come when there is a bereavement and there's a funeral in the family. So,
So, okay, you know what, Sister Thabisile, take me through this scenario. Dad passes away. There
yes,
is nothing in plan. Dad leaves behind 4 children. All of them, they are working. Bayeza ke kuwe, Sister Bile. let's go through somebody ongana, because this is our situation, to be honest. A lot of abomalume bethu. There's something you said on your video, and I want to touch on that. We like to put abomalume, nabo auntie, nabo sisi, but why are we doing that? And are we? I want to put this in a way that it will not come out. But are we planning their death in advance?
Not necessarily. And the reason why we are speaking on you covering your family is that unfortunately in Black communities or the society, we are responsible. We're an extended family to a greater degree. We are all family. You may find that I was raised by my uncle or my aunt,
Oh, I
or
see.
or in other cases when you are that Black working person who is able to foot the bill. Sometimes the unfortunate thing is that when that unfortunate situation happens, they come to you to help with the burial. So if you know that there are certain people whom you would be expected to bury, rather get them a funeral cover, because you will not have 30K for every funeral that occurs in the family
Yeah,
that you need to foot the bill for.
true. And again, as is Thabisile, as a Black society, we have that mentality yokuthi when a lady starts working, ngizofaka ugogo, ngizofaka umkhulu, and I think this is where the burden starts. Now, how can we correct that?
I think the first thing, like I said, it's for, for something to change, someone has to start to care. Let's start there. Someone needs to care enough. You know, I think you invited me because you saw that there are certain things that are not done correctly in this space because really somebody doesn't care.
Yeah.
In most cases where you'd advocate for people to take funeral policies, like some of your uncles, they can afford. Abagogo, they do get a pension, they can afford,
Oh,
right? But now they'll tell you, "Mina ngizabe ngifile. I don't have to bury myself, so why should it be my problem?" I don't care. So that's why I said it starts with people caring enough to say that, you know what, I don't want to Tabi to carry the cost of burying me because she's buying groceries for this family already, she's paying school fees sabantwana babo siswakhe. So let me alleviate that burden. If we start caring enough and lose that languaging of saying I really don't care because I won't be here.
yeah, I think ngiyayibona siswami as I'm talking to you ukuthi we start to bring abantu aba irrelevant, Now, there's a thing within the Black community where abantu abadala like to say kune family meeting. Mina, I think I have changed this narrative in my family where I say, instead of us talking about useless things, why don't we gather and say, oh, babes is going to take care of umamkulu. Naledi is going to take care of uncle. Ofense is going to take, because when this happens, Siswabi, people turn into, the funeral turns into a circus. The few law sekayenza la or and then at the end of the day you discover ukuthi umamkhulu does not she didn't even leave a cow or a hen or an egg behind. And a good luck on why don't Siswami we start here? Let us make our family meetings to be relevant. Instead ukuthi unaledi ushayiwe, unaledi une-blue eye, naledi is coming home. Can we just be relevant for 1 second? Can we talk about things that are going to affect our future?
I
Because like
definitely,
you said, Siswami, in the beginning, I don't know how I'm gonna die. It might even happen ukuthi mina, my husband and my son, we might be in the same car crash. Who is going to look after these three when they are gone?
absolutely. And to add to your point, what you just said is of paramount, and I hope that all the listeners listen to this and your solution becomes adapted in the different families. Because number one, when we don't have those family meetings, I'll tell you now the biggest danger of not discussing indaba ye-death care is the fact that Otabi has 4 siblings, right? And we
Yeah.
have a mother whom we all covered with different insurances. Now, what you need to understand is that the FSCA passed a bill to say that the threshold of the payout per underwriter, per insurance, is 100,000 K. So if Tina C4 Sambe Sayobhalisa for 100,000 K with the same underwriter, guess what? We're only getting 100,000 Rand. The
Oh,
other 3 of us are not getting anything because the threshold is 100,000 Rand. That means that we've been paying insurance for Mahala because we don't have these
sure.
conversations of saying, this is where we're covering Umam and this is the amount.
Now, Sister Thabisile, we are used to point out that the family meetings, when they say, and I mean, they like calling me, now lady come, I say, I hope it's going to be relevant. I hope it is something that is going to help me. Because, maskulmi qiniso siswami, when you get there, it is about who is going to pay for what. But why didn't we talk about this when Utapsile was still alive? We
Absolutely.
are that generation where our children are teaching us to talk. They are teaching us, Uguti, we must learn about their emotions. Mama, I'm not happy. Mama, I'm crying. Mama, now our children has opened up something that mean Thabisile, I'm going to use it. Instead of us checking Uguti, le family meeting is about what? Can we talk about you once you are gone? Do we have everything in place? Yo, Thabisile, bangatholi ne-birth certificate, siswana.
Yeah. It happens. It happens quite a lot. And I say that the most important questions that you'll have to answer in order to live a credible and meaningful and purposeful life is number one, why you are here and how you want to be remembered. Now, unfortunately, the how you want to be remembered part speaks about legacy and about the time where you won't be here now. For some people, that conversation gets uncomfortable.
But yeah, but there's something that I didn't ask in the beginning. How did you get into this business?
So, funny trick is that I've always liked creating extra source of income for myself. In high school, I used to work at a funeral home, or let me say, for a funeral home, because people would think I was in child labor. Um, my sister used to drive family cars for a certain funeral home. And then
Oh,
she said to me, you know what, instead of staying at home on weekends and not knowing what to do, come join me. You will be, those girls that are giving beverages in the cemeteries to the families and then
oh,
comforting
I
them.
see.
So that's how I got exposed. And then because this funeral home owner was a close family friend, and I was quite intrigued by, the industry itself. From time to time, I'd go to their offices, find out more, help out where I can. So that's how I was introduced to this industry. But as you said, God has a way of puzzling everything together to meet your purpose. Because I further went to varsity to study IT, and after studying IT, I worked for an entity of government where it was in telecoms, and I met my now business partner, where we decided that, you know what, um, death has not been digitalized. It's still been
Yeah,
the same way it was
true.
10 years back. So, what can we do about it? How do we make it more accessible? How do we provide more information? And how do we make it easy for people to plan and arrange or find anything around death care?
Yeah, I hear you, Siswami. And yeah, I think while you were talking, I was intrigued. Guti, such a cheapy. I know death is such a sensitive topic, but Siswami, where do we start? Where do we start? How do we introduce the word death without anyone cringing?
I think the biggest thing for me, what I found is that there are conversations that are currently taking place around death. People are talking about death. It's just that they don't want it to be scripted and they don't want you to come with your own approach. You must join in on their conversations. And I'll give you a critical example. My grandmother used to always talk about her death wishes, right? All the time. And the reason why I keep on referring to my grandmother, I lost my mom when I was 8 years old. And then I was raised by my grandmother. So she would say, Yes, mina nangifa, ngifuna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And all around you, you keep on hearing the same conversations. But now the danger is that they don't put it into formality. The reason why ngisho kanjalo is the fact that, number one, she would tell me certain things, right? And then tell part of the family certain things. And I will, please remind me, I'll put a screw to this point because it's quite important. She will tell me what her wishes are, tell other people what her wishes are. She does not document them anyway. She does not take any action towards securing the legacy that she's been building. My grandmother passed on without a will. Now that means you are passing on interstate, and when you pass on interstate, the law of interstate takes its ownership. What your wishes were may not translate to what would happen because it was not documented anyway. You did not have a will, right? Number two, especially if it's a family home, because you were telling everyone different versions of what you want to happen to this family, and it was not documented anyway. Then there's conflict. That is where issue yokulwela number inheritance comes from, to say, well, but uthe le mbhedo wam or uthe la camera ilam. So we cannot verbalize things and hope that when we pass on, it happens the way that we anticipate, because there is a law that governs estate planning. And then secondarily to that, njengoba ngisho ukuthi you say one thing to me and you say one thing to the other, funeral homes will tell you this. It happens quite a lot, where now mele sibe ama-referee in between the families, because there's a fight for the deceased. To say deceased say they wanted to be buried in KZN, this one says no, they are going to get buried here, right? When Opila, you had control to put these things into place. You did not. Now you are leaving a family in chaos. That is why all of us needs to take ownership, because we understand that one day we are all going to pass on, whether we like it or not, in as sad as it is, but it is going to happen.
Yes, in Sister Thabisile, you are now moving my way. Always says, Mangshona la mapoto wakanaledi.
Yes.
But when Thabisile walks in, Mangshona la mapoto wakaThabisile.
Exactly.
And we end up fighting over those pots. Now, without them even writing anything down to say, amapoto wakanaledi, umbhede wakaThabisile, imoto yakaGaisang. Now, this is also taboo. It's still something new to the Black community ukuthi umuntu ufuna ukushiswa. Now, let me take it to the Christian way. I'm sure there's this part where the bones are going to connect and we are going to rise up again. Now, this is also going to cause conflict within your family, because khona laba abazoza from the Christian point of view, where things are not documented.
The harsh reality, like I said, if it's not documented anyway, unfortunately, whoever has the most dominant voice will have their way. And just to give you a bit of a laugh, we also had the same incident last year where we had, people of our, of our color saying that I want to be cremated. And then that uncle from KZN said, no ways. That's not going to happen.
Now we are born as Swami. The ancestors and Christianity will come in and they will challenge that. But this was her dying wish. Now that's why I'm saying, can you take us, Uguti? How do we make our documents zibe legal and zibe relevant?
The unfortunate part, and I'll be honest with you, is that death wishes in South Africa, it can only be legal if it's in the will. Now, the unfortunate part is that the will is read after the funeral, right? And I think we've seen this. Suzolega had a couple of lists that she wrote down to say, I don't want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at my funeral, but they came, So there is no legally binding thing to say that your wishes will be carried through. It's just that, like you said, we need to have more of these family meetings where we bring everyone together so everyone has the consistent version to say, I said, this is what I want. And I'm going to give everybody a copy of what I want so that you guys know. So then it would come from the family to say, okay, we had this conversation prior. Are we going to vote against the wishes or are we going to carry them through? And also, it will all boil down to to the family, because unlike the United States, in South Africa, there is nothing legally binding to your wishes.
Because mawukhuluma kanje sisi wami ne, I'm thinking about that old woman who has written on a piece of paper wayifaka ngaphansi kwamatrasi. Is that valid?
The only valid document is a will, unless
Hey.
let's say you did not like someone and then you have a protection order against them. And I don't know if that still stands when you've passed on, because now how are they going to harass you?
And I think another thing, Siswami, eyenza ukuthi kube a little bit tighter, that there needs to be something that is read before the funeral.
Yes.
There's something that needs to be known. Hey, yeah, ne? But maybe, as I said before, with these family meetings, what are we doing there? People are there drinking booze. When you came with a Hennessy, when you came with gin, people are comparing small things. While we could be sitting down and saying, when this happens to Thabisile, what are the plans? What are we going to do?
Absolutely.
Because if Tina siyahlala as the Shabalala family, and we say the head 1, 2, 3, 4, mother 1, 2, 3, 4, sister 1, 2, 3, 4, and we certify the document and we keep it in a safe space, sorted.
And I think the biggest thing around that, like you're saying, is also holding each other accountable in these family meetings. You cannot have kids and decide you do not have a will. When we are sitting together, we need to also ask, does everyone here have a will? What's going to happen to a kid when you pass on in the event? Because the other thing is that what we do in the Black community, which is quite sad, people think that wills are for the rich. Wills are for people that have so many, assets. And for me, the most important aspect of a will, particularly if you're a parent, is the guardianship of your kid. You have kids that you are leaving behind. As Naledi, we are no longer in the olden days where you pass on and you leave your kid with that drunk uncle who may abuse them. You're no longer in that space where you're saying ubhala phansi ukuthi ngimshaya no-Ausnaledi. You don't know if Ausnaledi has the financial means to take care of your kid.
Yeah,
So this
true.
conversation needs to be had before to say, Ausnaledi, in the event of my passing, I would really like to nominate you as a guardian of my kid. And then you would have to say, I accept, or I don't accept. And further to that, then you'll have to start engaging with me to say, Asna lady, I actually have a policy, I have a will, and I have these things documented in a safe somewhere. So if something happens to me as the guardian or the nominated guardian for my kids, this is where you can find everything. But it
Oh,
starts
I
with,
see.
let's hold each other accountable at these meetings, because what normally happens is that we don't talk about these things, and it's okay for us to siqomelane ukuthi umntanami une-tablet une-iPhone, but in the event that you drop dead today,
Yeah,
will your child continue to live in that house? Never mind the iPhone.
I hear you. Valid point, Bon. Valid point indeed, Siswami. Umntanakho uhamba nge-iPhone 15 Pro Max, but you don't even have a coffin. You don't even have a preacher, a pastor who will take this body down. Now, abantu bakudala, Sister Thabisile, they used to say this. And my grandmother used to say this a lot. That's why they used to say, Ayi, noma kundlula ukoketso, call koketso to come and do my funeral, mina, I'm out of here. But Siswami, I think what we are all planning for is, can I have a dignified goodbye? That's all that I'm asking for. Mina, Sister Thabisile, I don't want cow, I don't want goat. I just want to be remembered. I want to be a perfect farewell, It's not about what you ate. It's not about the coffin was 35,000. It's not about that. That's why now we see people, Abati, when I go on the other side, please no speech. Save your speech for now while I am still alive. Say all the good things that Ausna Lady did while she was still alive. Now, these are the things that we are learning, Anisho Siswam, and we are minusing from our parents. It doesn't. Isn't my catering? Is because I don't want to go there. Is catering relevant?
Unfortunately, in the Black community, it is. To what you are saying, ne? Remember when I said the most two important questions that you're going to answer in your life is why you're here and how you want to be remembered. Now, when you speak about how you want to be remembered, and I want to take everybody back to, and this is my own personal opinion. When I think about AKA, the hip hop artist who passed on last year,
The
one thing I
singer,
know
yes.
is that he loved loudly. He had a dominant voice. He was able to speak his voice. He was able to. I'm not talking about the asset part. And it takes me back to your point to say, if we were to pass on today, how does your family remember you? Were you that loving mother? Were you that caring mother? The emotional aspect where you're meeting those needs for your kids. And sometimes we don't want to think about these things because now it forces us to be accountable. Because you sit down and say, when was the last time I actually had a pure conversation with my kids? You can't even
Yeah.
remember. When was the last time you sometimes, and I know sometimes, families have their own debacle, but do you have a healthy relationship with some of your family members? If we were to pass on today, what would be said about you? Did you live fully? Did you love fully? Like you're saying, Uti, let me give you your flowers while you're still alive. Why do I have to wait to Uti Usushon and then I come there with a sad speech? Yet when you were telling me that you were hungry, I'd pray for you and not give you food. But now you've passed on and I'm willing to give 5,000 towards the catering of your food. So in as much as people want to have, and I call it that Durban July of funerals, ultimately what would matter is, did I know this? Esikhathini esiningi abazali bethu mabashona in our cultures bathengela ingubo. Umama akho akakaze wathola itshali kuwe, but today she's passed on, uhambile wayothenga iminki ye-1,000. The send off should be an extension of
Wow.
how well you loved this person. They knew ukuthi nabafundisi noma beyeza bayasho ukuthi yazini umama wakho noma bekagula awugogo lapha bekanale minki enhle. It's an extension. Don't justify, because to be quite honest, funerals are for the living. That's why we want to be seen. That's why we want amachi on. That's why it's for us to feel good, because Utabi is passed on. Otabi cannot smell these beautiful lilies and roses. Otabi cannot see these G wagons. You've never taken me out on a date.
Oh,
You've
yeah.
never, so I've really passed on. This is for you. This is for you to feel good about yourself, not me. So hence I'm saying that a dignified send off is a send off that goes on respectfully, with everything in order, with the people that you love, celebrating your life. It's not about the Devon July funerals. You don't have to spend 50,000. But I'm not here to make people feel guilty. If you want to spend 150,000 and unayo, I'm not here to judge you. Do
Okay,
that.
masicale so-ke sis Thabisile, masicale so. From minimum to max, how much can a funeral be?
From minimal, you're looking at about 13.5 all the way up to 300,000.
Lele 300 ile lama helicopter ne?
Ileli lama G-Wagon, ile deco. I was laughing at this person with TikTok at deco, because now deco budget is taking the food budget. Now there's this beautiful full funeral and there's not enough food. So yeah, there's like a whole entourage, the coffin itself, because you can't get a coffin for 150,000.
So Isol, the way I heard you, minimum would be 35,000 all the way. Let's say to 1 million as well,
Yeah.
depending. Yeah, yeah. I think we can reach 1 million. But in the 35, when assist Thabisile, what will 35 compromise of? Well, what can you get from 35?
All right, so from 35,000, you would be able to, number one, book a grave. You would be able to get a casket depending on the type of casket that you want. You would be able to get a deco at the cemetery, the storage of your loved one at that private facility. You would be able to get, let me see, so it's 35, the kind of fleet that you want, transportation and a bus. If you are cooking by yourself as a family, you can get away with maybe buying a little bit of grocery because nyama iyadura. Nyama is quite expensive, so I wouldn't even say 35,000 ingaphuma inyama unless ama-viewers wakho anesigodi somewhere where we can get inyama cheap. But yeah, 35,000 you can just get away with just that.
Oh, just the basic.
Yes.
Okay. And then masekuthi 40, 50 kuyakhuphuka kuba kuhle nyana.
And it difference kakhulu, it becomes with it's either the fleet or the casket, because those are the big selling points, because that's essentially more of what you're paying for more than anything.
I-casket.
I-casket yilo elidurayo, and also people complain that casket iyadura, but it's really you, the family, that decides on the casket. Funeral homes just put out the caskets that are there, and then when it's okay to standard to say, I don't, because there's other stigmas attached to caskets which are found out. Koni casket abayibiza ngefish, which everybody hates. So people, when they get to funeral homes, abayifuni fish. So
Yini
um,
fish this one?
if fish is that basic, would corner. It looks. It doesn't have that luxury. It looks really basic. I think most of your
But where
caskets.
did it get the name fish?
So maybe it's on a box lamatamate ekuqaleni, like it was to say it's something very basic. And then it's also shaped like a fish almost. Maybe that's where also the name comes from, because it's square and then it goes like it's a bit narrow as it gets to the other side.
So if fish goes for how much?
Fish goes for around, so a package, because normally they sell it in a package, you never find the box in a lot. Package yakhona iyo ongayithola ngaboma-11,000, yona uzothola ukuthi ifish aboma maybe 6,000, 7,000.
Okay, then take us to last number. Now I know the fish. Yeah, now take me to le enama cushion enama pillows inside.
Yeah, that one bawabiza ngamadome.
Yo.
Amadome, you would see the lid, it looks like almost like ngathi ilontuzanile, iphakemenyana. And then you can even, sometimes it's not that you can tell luxury without even like touching it. It's ezinye is silver, ezinye is gold, ezinye it has pure leather or animal skin, like a cow skin. And then it's got, of course, those so the pillows are also a bit different with the expensive one. So it's really, yeah, it's really, I think if there's a video, if your viewers are open to going on my page, there's
Describing
so
coffins. We are still on coffins this one. We are still coffining.
no, I want to go back there. If you go onto my page, there's a video where I'm at service provider showroom. So the caskets also are bona lapaya. Those are the domes. Those are the ones that go for 1,500. No, sorry, from anything from 70 to 200,000, 300,000.
Thabisile. The coffin 70,000.
But that's the minimum for the luxury. It goes up to 200, 300,000.
Now, this coffin, for the fact that it's not a coffin, what else can it do?
It's really just a dome. It's a casket. It's a dome. There's nothing that it can do. It's the same thing.
There's a question, Siswami.
Okay.
Don't worry about the comments. I will read the comments for you. Someone was asking how much is the price of cremation?
Cremation is relatively cheap. You can easily get away with cremation for around 9,000 rand. You can get it for 13,000, also up to 40,000 max, depending on the type of service. Because a cheap cremation is you saying, I have a departed loved one, please fetch them from the hospital. You come with the family, they identify, they go cremate, and then you come collect the ashes. Or you have a service where you get a casket, get your departed loved one to church, you have a viewing. After that service, they go get cremated, and then they bring the ashes to you.
Oh, okay. So there are two types. Okay, Nyabuzo,
Yes.
where the body can be viewed, and then yeah. So Precious was saying your kids will be left with the ash. No, Precious, it's up to you what you want the ashes to be done. Your kids can decide to keep the ash in the house. Your kids can decide to blow it in the air. It's up to them. But Sister Bisila, where are you based so that people can contact you later for more information?
Okay, I am based in Gauteng. Our company is based in Randburg at the Legal Hub. But if anyone needs to make any contact with me, they can go onto my profile. There's more information about how you reach me. In fact, there's links. You can
Okay.
click on the number, you can click on the email.
Okay. All right. Sisi, do you get commission according to abantu abafile?
Kanjani manje?
Yeah, like when you know when I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. Mamela Sithabisile, what a productive session I had with you. Ngiyabonga. I think you know what I'm thinking of doing a part two to this, but I want to do it in the evening. But you and me, we will talk in the DMs and we will arrange the evening topic because right now kunabantu abasemsebenzini and they missed out on this. And ebusuku there is a particular group of people that we will also um, target and they would also like to hear about this. But me and you, I don't usually like to do part two, but I feel like me and you, let's talk about a part two and then we come back late. Is it possible to do a once off and not gangan gangan?
Yes, so what we actually, the products that we've launched last year is also around you planning your entire funeral, right? And deciding on the send off that you want. So it's like a prepaid funeral. The
Yeah.
payout of that funeral is exactly what you wanted, the type of service and the type of product and the type of caskets and the type of catering. What we see an uptake on this product in particular is with the Caucasian market, because funerals on their end is not difficult. They would even specify, I want white lilies, I want this type of sandwiches, this is what I like. So yeah, in the African markets, it's not yet there, but we're hoping it gets there as well.
Okay, I hear you. But anyway, me and you, we're gonna talk later. Itintatu siskani kala, then Mafusi, and then we close. Everything is on her bio, Jane. Everything is on her. If you go to her account now, everything is there. Siskani, please come in.
Hey, Nkosi Sesinaledi. This babes, ngicela ukubuza ne. How much, in your own opinion, like for someone who's you are not working, you don't have anything, but obviously you want to have a funeral cover and something that will. I'm not talking about into zamabhongo, but makubekho into ethile, for you to be able to ufake umuntu wakho emoshwari for few days, maybe let's say 4 days in a mortuary, then you take umuntu wakho uyomfaka phansi komhlaba the way we used to do ku-COVID. Something
Yes.
so simple. How much
Oh,
is
I
it
hear you.
that you a person can budget for? Because hearing about prices, I'm like, ufishi 11,000. Ngeke bakithi.
No, but sis babes, we are more than Sis Kanye Utin. Sis Kanye is talking about the most basic form of a funeral?
Yes. So the most basic form of a funeral, you would have to look at something like 13.5.
13.
13.5.
All
Hey,
right.
guys, what's working?
At this one, I think
It's so expensive to die, guys.
hopefully,
Yo,
Sister Lady
That's
will
what I always
invite you
tell
again.
people.
We still want to hear more from you where you break down things to say, on this 13.5, like Cisnaldi was saying, we are not educated about these things. Like, I'll make an example. I know I've covered my parents. I'm sure my siblings have covered my parents, but I'm not sure if we have covered each other. You see now? So in the event of the other one
yeah, what
dying,
is kind
now you
those
realize
family
that,
those family meetings.
now you realize that the other one was covered, maybe the first one was covered, but the rest were not. You see, so I think we need more education, more awareness on these things, so that our minds are opened and we're actually open to talk about these things. Now, when I talk about them, sometimes I pick up a call and say, "Oh, Dada, in the event this happens, this is what I would like to happen. Please talk to your sons." Because I want everyone to speak in one word in our family, that A, B, C, and D. It doesn't matter if it's me or the other person, but this and this and this should be like that, so that we are able to save money for the ones that remain behind. But now I hear the prices, I'm like, if there's not even something that will be left behind,
But
for
you
the
can get
kids and so that's why I'm saying I think we need to talk more about these things. Maybe we come talking about things that are basic for people, because these days in South Africa, you talk about middle earners and you realize this person doesn't even have anything left before month end. You're going to borrow money to go to work. So you're not even there. You are in the bracket of people who are poor, because you don't have anything, at the end of the day to show. You just have what you have in your house. If you'll be kicked out, in fact, on the flat that you're staying at, you will literally be on the streets. So we need to be able to address these things and talk about them and make people aware that, you know what, Kanyesa, you are just serving Ukanyesa that day when you want them bloom, none, but in a way that will not make people feel like, okay, sis, you are stalker or. But thank you so much, Sis Yabula.
No problem, Kanye. And thank you so much for your question. I think to answer what you said, Usisna Lady did also, and I saw her nodding quite a lot. It's important that you discuss as a family. And to your point also, I normally tell a lot of people, because Bati, I'm a funeral cover is scam. Ngcono save imali angeke i-13,000 yabantu abayi-3. It so happens, like she did say earlier on, to say it might happen that as a family we're traveling and we all pass on, where you're going to get 13,000.5 times 3. So what I normally advise people is that take a burial cover, because it's got a lot of fraudulence and a lot of resistance, and you can talk to your family because they know in the event that they pass on, you are getting a burial service. A lot of families don't get comfortable with people taking on a funeral cover because of our Rosemary. They know you're getting a cash payout, and you might not even contribute to the family, and you might even kill them for that 100K of their lives. So if you take a burial cover, they know that, well, that's the whole point of her covering
So
it.
so Ima Sis Thabisile, I think I get you on this one. I think I get you. Khona abantu abana-that fear yokuthi I am paying every single month, I'm paying every single month, and then what? And then there's a person, Oti, why don't I accumulate all this amount of money and put it under the mattress? You know what? I think it's a lose-lose situation. I think so. Now that ngigmamele kahle, what did you say about Rosemary? Now, as ngigmamele, ne? It's a win-lose situation, guys. It's a whether you keep your money, because what if that house burns down with your 100K? And there's a question about liquidation. Someone was saying, with the prepaid funeral care, what happens if the service provider gets liquidated?
Yes, thank you so much. I actually wanted to ask you to have a moment to answer that question. So what we've done is that for prepaid plans, service providers that have this kind of a service, they have a hedge fund with one of the big financial guys. So you know that For example, I'm not saying this is a partner. Standard Bank is not about to go out of business in the next 5, 10 years. FNB is not about to get liquidated. So if you have or identified a service provider that says they offer pre-planning, we need to ask where they hedge those funds.
Oh, okay. I hear you.
They
Who
must not
is
sit with
backing
those
them up?
funds.
I hear you.
They must
Yeah.
open up a trust account and put that money there. They cannot touch it. They cannot even use it to invest.
Okay, Mama C, I hope you were answered. Mafusi, please come in.
Thank you. Greetings. Okay, you've answered the liquidated one questions, but I wanted you to advise our families who have funeral plans with the funeral covers of the homes in terms of, okay, firstly, I would say to you, when I buried my mom, the funeral home never told us about the top up money for the casket, because we find out 3 days after she passed on that she became bigger. And then you find out you covered her for this casket, for this money, and then they give you, there are funeral covers who will give you a tent, a table, chairs, and then a casket, and then they pay umkoti for you. So I want you to advise people ukuthi when they're taking standard funeral covers, they need to put in mind ukuthi some people are not the same when they die, especially in the morgue. When you are in the fridge, different things happen to you. Some they die sitting, the knees are to ukuthi uwalule. Abanye bashona in a very critical way, and you find families baba in credit bureaus ukuthi now they have to go find a loan to top up the casket, because we were told ukuthi the casket was about 40,000. We had to top up another 40K because now she is big. And then now we find ourselves eskolotweni sokuthi how are we going to pay this money while we don't even have a grocery, we don't even have umgodi, we don't even have izinto like eziningi in terms of burying our loved ones. So how do you go about with those situations to people who don't know certain things?
Anna, thank you so much for your question, because you've raised quite a lot, and I hope that people that are tuned in would actually listen to this. Now, a big part of my content is educating people the fact that when you take a funeral cover or burial cover, right, you don't take it, sign it, and pack it. You need to read it. A lot of people in the space, you know, but take advantage of the fact that a lot of people don't read. What the salesperson tells you, you take it as the truth, and
So,
then
Sister Psilo, you're talking about the fine line.
yes, I'm talking about, and I did say this, that the devil is in the fine print. People know that you will not read the fine print. So, and another thing, Ausnalit, I want it to be very much clear to people that when you take that policy, that document is your contract between you and whoever you're buying from, and that is legally binding. People don't think so. They think it's just policy documents, right? For example, Lenda show, of saying people are not aware of the fact that the preservation of the body might change, which is another conversation, which raises also alarms to say, well, how are you preserving this body for it to get to the state? Number one, answer that question. That's why we need to have this conversation. When somebody comes and tells you, the body has changed because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, they need to give you that detail to say, okay, because what normally happens is that when a person passes on, you get a declaration of death. You know how this person dies. If you are a fully fledged funeral home, you should know. Like, for example, there was this client of ours that passed on, and he had high blood, hypertension, diabetes, and also a bit of cancer. Now, they needed to store the body for about 2 weeks, for the entire family to get to South Africa and be able to do the burial. On the very first instance, before the funeral home took the deceased to the care facility, he said, this body needs to be embalmed for the preservation, because it will not be in the right state in 2 weeks'
Oh.
time. So they need to tell you, if you're fully fledged, you need to know, but okay, this is the cause of death. I know if this is the cause of death, this is how I'm supposed to preserve this body. I need to tell this family on hand before I even take this body to the facility to say, be aware of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because sometimes when you're not aware, people will try to unsell you something, right? And I'm not saying Uguti, maybe they did not preserve the body proper to make more profit from it. I'm saying that things should be known upfront, like she's saying. Uguti, you need to always know Uguti, there will be a need to top up in some instances. So it should be a disclaimer that is there, that is put on the documentation.
Ngiyakuzwa. So at the end of the day, sis Thabisile, what you're saying is our responsibility.
Absolutely. They put the responsibility on you.
Ngiyakuzwa, Shame. I hear you loud and clear. Hello, Kay.
Hi,
This is the
Kay.
Kay where I met to Thabisile. Zama, greetings, Tandwa. And what's your question?
Okay, I've got a situation here now. My father that didn't raise me, he called one of the days nje, and put pressure. I woke up to his messages, he's asking for my ID. And, I was like, okay. Oh, he said he wanted to write me on something for work, even though he had stopped working. I took it for granted. Then I gave him, only to find out that
You gave him what? Sorry, Zama. What did you give this guy?
I gave him my full names and my ID, yeah, because we had a bit of a relationship, at the time. So only to find out that he has registered everyone for a death cover. When I say everyone, I believe I'm also included, and other relatives, like nje, everyone he can get hold of, and without informing us. So I wanted to know, what can we do to, I don't want to be registered by him firstly, he's never taken care of me, and I don't want him to now. Even if he had told me, I would have told him that no, I don't need his cover. So he lied about it. But now, what can me and those other family members do to cancel what he's done with our names and IDs?
So the very first thing, and hello, Zama, thank you for your question. The very first thing that you need to do, and the insurers will be quite happy about this because there's about R500 billion of insurance fraud. Not that your father is committing insurance fraud, but what you can do is to find out which company did he register you with, and you can actually call them, give them your ID, ask them to check this policy, and tell them that you did not consent to it. So you would like them to terminate that contract because this person did not have a conversation with you. You did not, because if you cover someone, you need to have you need to get a consent from them. You need to have that
Hold
engagement. You
on,
need to
Sis
agree with it.
Thabisile. Hold on. You are moving too fast now. Namso Yangshiya.
Asisi.
So when my husband, not even my husband, when my brother wants to put me ku funeral cover, fanele akhulume nami kuqala.
Fanele akhulume nawe. At the same time, if akasiboni isidingo angakurejistara, but if you don't want to, if you are a funeral cover, you can call that people la bhalise khona cover to say, I do not consent to this, therefore ngicela niyi-canceleni. Because
Wow.
remember, in the insurance space, there's something called insurable interest, right? Insurable interest says that you need to have an interest in insuring this life because you will suffer financially in the event of their passing. That is where now we have power to stop our Rosemary to say, I know Uti Ausna lady, you want to benefit financially. You're not going to bury me. You've been doing this to other family members. So if ungibhalisile with this company, I would like to retract the policy. Bhalisa abanye, mina ungikhiphe.
So this is what Zama is asking for right now.
Yes. So Zama, find out who took ukubhalisephi.
Because Uzama uyazi ukuthi udaddy is going to benefit for his own. Akafuna ukungcwaba uZama.
Exactly.
And
The
let's
whole
Hey.
believe
point
in
of a
the
funeral cover. The
It's
whole
true.
point of a funeral cover, Sis Naledi, and for your viewers, is to alleviate the financial burden in the event of a loved one's passing. It's not to enrich ourselves. You
That
get
guy
me?
is so selfish. He won't even
But
give
hold
100
on,
rand.
Nyabon ukuthi wena nozama niyaphi now. Do you know there are people who have written me down without even knowing ukuthi ngibhaliwe? Yeah. No, Imani, guys, hold on. All that Zama said, Zama cele uzama siphile, wacela ne-ID. That's all. So right now what I'm saying, my brothers, my sister, my mother, they have entered me kuzinto engingazazi.
Yes.
So eman sister Thabisile phuma nayo. Now
Yes,
If if
ziyahephela.
if you feel that someone wants to enrich themselves instead of contributing towards the funeral, because you know them, the insurer doesn't know them, the insurer assumes this person wants to bury this person. But if you know them, ukuthi no, this one is a Rosemary. As I'm walking around, they are seeing 50,000. Yeah, show it no, 50,000 yamle. Then you can call the insurer and say, listen, this person will enrich themselves. They have no intentions of burying me, so please, can I cancel?
No, thanks. I will do so. I thought it's more complicated than that.
so ute uzama uphuma kanjani? How does Zama come out of this one?
I'm going to call AFBOP and check my ID number and tell them.
But what if it's not Bob Zama?
The information I had said that.
Oh, information.
Mm,
Okay.
but yeah, now I blocked him. I stopped speaking to him after that. It was too much.
Oh, so now as Mama Begile, it's not about him covering your funeral. It's him gaining that 50,000.
Sister Lady, he won't even give 100 rands. One, I'm way younger than him. I'm not sick. He's never bothered to buy me bread for school lunch. Why is he jumping for such a big thing where money's gonna come to him? It doesn't make
Thank you,
sense.
Kel. Ukel Ati, is there a place where we can check if we have been registered?
You know, there is a company, I'm not associated with them, therefore I don't want your viewers to hold me accountable, right? I know there is this place called Verify, Verifi. And maybe your viewers must say this because I've been sending a lot of people there. So they have a consolidated financial database of where some of your policies may be. But I've heard Ubuti Abanao assurance and they don't have some other ones. The ones that they have, they can give you an indication of where Ikamala Kol Palis work on.
Hey, Ivan, this is another whole ball game together. Aye. Hi guys, Utohori, Sister
Even
Thabisile,
stopped
I'm
going
walking
to.
around shaking my nyesh. Umuntu boni 50,000.
Absolutely.
I even stopped
Absolutely.
going to family functions. I'm like, yo, maybe this guy's gonna budget poison with me. I'm not going. I don't wanna eat anything. I blocked. I did it all, but now I want to do it on paper and ensure that everything is done legally because I've
Now,
done.
imagine if Usis Zama did not know the father was doing this. Hi man, good deep, go off. Sister Thabisile, we are coming for part 2. We are definitely coming for part 2.
And I need to leave at 3 lady. So if there's anyone who wants to wrap up, can they please come in just before 10 to?
Okay,
Thank you
no
so
problem.
much. Thank you.
Zama, I helped, ne? Fufu, do you have any other question? So that mina no sister bile sizoval.
No, I was not
Thank you,
lady.
Zama.
I'm
I
fine.
thought I
I'll just
was.
step down.
Okay, all right. No, sharp guys, listen, we are going to have this conversation again. No, Sister Thabisile, man, you just triggered something there. Because siyahamba nje, ungathola ukuthi I'm worth a million. Hey, Mara. Okay, mina no Sister Thabile is thank you for your time. Thank you for being here. And yeah, not the evening one. I'll make sure that it's an hour and a half. We don't exceed. We look at each other's schedule. We set up a date. Bang, it's a date. Ngiyabonga, Sister Thabisile. Thank you for everything. The information was
Nanguphela.
valuable, was straight to the point.
Nanguphela
Yekela
ukubuza mina
uphele.
ngiyahamba. Mina ngiyahamba.
And uphele uqeda ukungena manje. Thank you, babes. Thank you so much.
Personally shame angijoyinelanga muntu emhlabeni soze ngajoyinela muntu. If you die and you were expecting me to be the one to bury you, shame. I have an experience. I used to have a dog. His name was Papi. I was very sad and I buried him. I didn't need money to bury my dog. I will bury you the same way, Bagit. Finish and clear. I will be, because abantu bayasaba ukujoyinelwa nani nani. It's either usijoyinelile sikungcwabe kahle ngendlela ofuna usikungcwabe ngayo, ubhala ukuthi ufuna sikungcwabe kanjani, or we just sigumba umgodi. If ma ukuthi ke sicabange ukuthi sikwenzele into edecent, sothenga le box layo 500 rand. Nanamhlanje lisawu 500 rand lelo bhokisi and lesela nyiwe mhlambe labo 700, kodwa ngagcina lu 500. Sikufake lapho nje same day. We're not even gonna plan lo nto njani nakho shona namhlanje sikungceba namhlanje. Mina, that's what I want for myself. Mina, I die today. Please, I told my husband, if I die today, go hlinza one of my cows. You goqa me on that skhumba, you bury me same day. Sebeyofika ngakusasa ke sebezophuza itiye ke sebethi hawu sizwile ukuthi ushonile kodwa sengingcwatshiwe. Angifune nje manje ningibangile isicefe nje sengifile. Finish and clear. Mina lento yemncwabo eplanwayo izijoyinelwe sadlala belungu guys, thina veleke nje okokuqala besingangcwabe ngathi sisenza iphathi. Manje sesenza amaphathi thina masingcwaba. Siyapheka manje, siyagrosa. There's so much planning on just burying someone. Hi, it's unnecessary. Now, Snaledi nje, when you come to my funeral, I will be already buried. Khuleka. By the time uzwa, I'll be buried. Yobe nje sozokhalisa nje la ekhaya uthi hayi bengizonibona shame, siyaxolisa nimncwabe kuphi, bakukhombise bathi simncwabe lapha kuphela kanjalo. Uthi bye bye Pearl, uhambe.
You know, Pearl, on a serious note, there's a portion of me that agrees with you. And ngizakutshela ukuthi why. And that's why I invited Sister Thabisile. There's a portion of me that agrees with you. Today, as abantu abamnyama, we are in this mess because we have created the mess. We have.
Yes.
Guys, why does Lifu, why is death so complicated? Now I still go back to my words. We are the ones who are complicating. We are the ones who are complicating things. Why you tell the thing, Yapel? Take a cow, take the skin, put me in the ground. Full stop. That's it. Why are we having the catering truck, catering women, DJ? Why? Yeah, the funerals have turned into a party now. So as I sign off, I say love, peace, and happiness.